few months went by with no response. During this time, I researched as much as I could about the lost episodes. I found out about another alleged lost episode of the Flintstones. The story behind this episode was much like the other lost episodes. A special episode of the show aired on an otherwise unused television channel and had gory and surreal content. The main difference between this story and the others was that this one had a credible outside source. The original forum post had a link to a digitally archived local news article from 1979. The FCC had received the complaints from dozens of people complaining to seen the episode. The complaints came from Lake Kabetogama region of Minnesota, with most originating from a couple of specific resorts. The incident was locally known as the Kabetogama broadcast. I decided the next logical step was to contact the FCC for more details. They responded within a week, saying that they were not at liberty to give out such information. At that moment, I considered filling a Freedom of Information Act request, but decided to take a different route. One of the two lake resorts most heavily involved with the incident was still in operation. I scheduled a vacation from work, and a few weeks later, I went on my way to Lake Kabetogama. Kleck's Cove was a collection of 15 cabins, a bar, restaurant, and a small boat dock with boats available for lease. I had rented an old Fame unit and planned to stay for 2 weeks. The resort was a nice place to stay. I spent a few days fishing and seeing local attractions. I fell in with a group of regulars who fished at the resort every year. We went on several boat trips before I had enough courage to ask about the Kabetogama broadcast. Oh, that's that. Funny thing, I actually just missed out on that whole thing. Happened a week before I stayed here in summer of '79. I heard a lot about it. You'll want to talk to Ed about it. He was there. He's referring to Ed Kleck, the founder of proprietary of Kleck's Cove. I considered him about the Kabetogama incident, the broadcast, before, but wanted to feel out the locals first. However, at this point, I decided I was being overly cautious and chose to follow the man's advice. Mr. Kleck was in his late 70s, but his memory was still sharp. He liked to tell stories and took advantage of this by starting a conversation with him about the history of the resort and the lake. This got him going for a couple of hours before I brought up the Kabetogama broadcast. Now, why do you want to know about that? He asked, seemingly taken aback. I told him I had read about it on the internet and what the story said. He shrugged and said, "Oh well, that's pretty much what happened. Nothing else much to say, really. I asked if he had seen the episode, to which he responded that he had caught the end of the broadcast after being told about it as it was happening. He did saw Barney die a horrible and bloody death in some Fox Stone Age contraption, but he didn't remember much else. He was resolute to continue this conversation much further, but assured me that the incident was real, very real indeed." I pondered all I had learned on my own drive home. I had been left with more questions than answers and didn't seem to get any closer tracking down the Aristocats' lost courting. The more I learned, the more new questions came up. Was the disturbing Aristocats version I have seen connected to the Kabetogama broadcast or the alleged Batman and Robin lost episode? Or was I making connections to where there were none? Did that person on YouTube claim to have seen the Batman lost episode really see it? Or had he just been trolling me? Surely all these claims couldn't be coincidental, but There was no explanation for the existence of these lost episodes. While I was churning all this information over in my mind, I didn't notice the vehicle behind me until right up my bumper. I swerved as it made contact and careered into a ditch. The other car drove on without stopping. I wasn't injured. In fact, my airbag hadn't even been deployed, but I sat in shock for many minutes afterwards. When I finally got my bearings, I called 911 and told them my location based on the nearest mile marker. It took about 45 minutes for a state officer to find me, but told the police what happened, but wasn't able to provide details such as the make and color of that car that hit me or the license plate. I did not tell them what business I was on or my lingering suspicion that the incident had to do with my investigation of the Kabagama broadcast. Despite this experience, I decided to stick my neck out a little more. This was getting serious and I needed a clear picture of what was I up against. I had an acquaintance in the FBI who owned my family the favor of a lifetime. I was convinced over the dinner that I paid for to look into the Lost Media Group for me. A few weeks later, he had a document for me. It was an analyst report containing all the information the FBI had on this mysterious group. The information known by the Bureau was about the Lost Media Groups is so scant as it too strongly to suggest that the group does not really exist. This report assumes that the existence of the group was investigative purposes. However, most of the information contained here is more speculation than confirmed fact. Most of the testimony concerning the LMG has been and off the record. The exact nature, size, organizations, origins, and goals of the LMG are mysterious. It is said to be a multiple organization that has been embedded in multiple entertainment industries and is most active in cities with large concentrations of entertainment companies such as Los Angeles, New York City, Atlanta, Toronto, and Tokyo. Membership is invitation and is rumored to include a number of wealthy entertainment executives and financiers. Second-hand informants report that the group used a variety of criminal tactics, including bribery, blackmail, and violence to prevent the dissemination of information concerning them. It is speculated that the LMG uses other crimes to syndicate as proxies as their operations in order to obfuscate investigations to their activities, and they mislead people into believing they are more powerful than they really are. Claims that the group possesses supernatural powers like as a result of selective disinformation campaigns. The Lost Media Group first came to Beirut's attention during the 1970s, but is said to date back to the early 1900s. During the 1920s and 1930s, an urban legend emerged concerning mystery reels, which were said to be altered versions of syndicated movie theaters, the reels that differed significantly in content and the tone from standard copies. The Beirut believes that the lack of public awareness of entertainment industry standards and copyright contributed to the fact that there were such works that were not reported to the media or law enforcement. A recurring theme in testimony concerning mystery reels is that they often contain violent content that was more extreme than mainstream theater content, and several forms of censorship boards claim to receive complaints about them. Witnesses also claim that mystery reels based on live action films featured different actors, and that these actors are, in retrospect, seem to have been coerced. One witness complained that an actor in a silent mystery reel appeared to be saying "help me" before being silenced by someone off screen. These claims have been led the Beirut to believe the LMG may have participated in trafficking in human beings. The group is also rumored to have involved in the production, the distribution of snuff films, though there is a little evidence to support this claim, as there is to support the very existence of snuff movies. Other crimes in the Lost Media Group is suspected to be involved with media piracy, drugging of actors, trafficking endangered species for use in films, and recording executions for criminal organizations. I pondered over to the report. Membership by invitation only, well-funded, well-connected, must be well-organized, yet their activities seem nothing short of bizarre. Why would a group with this kind of resources this group apparently had? Unlike the FBI, I was beginning to take the existence of the Lost Media Group for granted at this point, not spend them or traditional profitable criminal activities. Why would that many people commit so many resources and risk just to make movies? There is no way such a sophisticated syndicate would make enough money off some simple piracy to be considered profitable, and the other crimes listed in the reports would seem to be beyond the scope of expertise of a cable ostensibly comprised of people in the entertainment industry. Was it about money? Was it not about money? An ideological or religious motivation, perhaps. Certainly it didn't fit any religion I could have think of, and it didn't seem that like they were interested in influencing elections. Their motives must be subtler. They had a message they wanted to send, or an influence that they wanted to create, using the power of mass media, and were willing to dabble in any number of crimes toward whatever their ultimate end was.